Barak Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is It's Heavy. Oh, this is heavy. And pretty much the other day I was listening to the book of Jeremiah, and there was this one particular point that came out, that kind of hit me in a certain way. And I started just gathering a couple of other precepts just to kind of put it all together. I don't want to just give it away right away, so just bear with me. Go through some precepts, and then as we go through it, it'll start making sense. What we're gonna start off with is in the book of First Kings, the 11th chapter. And when you read from the first verse, it tells you about um, King Solomon, the wives that he had, the concubines that he had, and how pretty much after he got old, he started building, you know, um, shrines and temples to the gods of these heathen nations, the women that he had, and that pretty much caused the Most High to get upset with him. And there was a particular thing that happened. There was a lot of things that happened. There was one particular thing that happened, which we're going to touch on in this lesson, and Lord's will it'll be edifying. So let me just start off. 1 Kings 11 and 26. And Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zerida, Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his hand against the king. Yeah, because the Lord caused, different enemies to come up against King Solomon because of, what he did. Right? It says, and this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Milo and repaired the breaches of the city of David, his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph. Right. And that's one thing about the Ephraimites, they're very industrious, especially, the whole northern, the whole nation is industrious. But, you have, among Ephraim, they're very industrious. There was this one individual that we used to go to years ago when we used to get our mufflers and stuff changed. And this Ephraimite would work on our cars, and he always had, something that he was working on, and he would call it Puerto Rican ingenuity. And we would crack up. I know the apostles and the elders are cracking up. So this is a part of the makeup of Ephraim. The other, all the tribes, of course, but Ephraim in particular, they're very industrious. If you know the tribe, if you never been around the tribe, you never hung around the tribe, you never lived around the tribe, you won't really know. And that's one thing Elder Pastor said years ago, that in order for you to really know the tribes and really understand the breakdowns in Genesis 49 and Deuteronomy 33, you have to actually have lived around the tribes to know their characteristics. And when you read the scriptures, it makes sense. You're like, wow, yeah, that's right. Naphtali is so and such and such. Judah is such and this, that, and the other. Levi is this way and that way and the other. But you won't know that unless you actually lived around, or interacted around the different tribes. All right. So reading on, it says, and it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. So pretty much Jeroboam had a new garment on. And Ahijah caught the garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces, because what was happening there, he ripped the garment that he had in 12 pieces, representing what? The 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, right? And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, the power of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. You see, and that's how it was split up at one time. Because Levi, remember, Levi wasn't really like a tribe. I mean, they were a tribe, but they weren't a tribe as far as getting inheritance of land. They would get inheritances among all of the other tribes. So there were 12 tribes, and that's when Dan was a part of the whole thing. So he got 10 tribes to him, right? It says, but he shall have one tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, right? Because you had Judah, and then remember, during the time of King David, Benjamin was a lot of Benjamin, not all of them, but a lot of Benjamin were against Judah because Benjamin, King Saul was the first quote unquote official king that was anointed, so to speak, even though the first king of Israel was really Moses, but Saul was the actual physical king that was actually anointed, to be king over Israel. And there was a big resentment once King David took over the throne because they felt that it should have gone to the tribe of Benjamin. So really it was mainly one tribe, even though you had Levites there, you had Benjamites there, and then eventually some of the other tribes, you know, uh, mingled amongst the southern kingdom. You have to know this history. You know, so it says, because that they have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways, to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did David his father. Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life, for David my servant's sake, whom I chose because he kept my commandments and my statutes. Just bear with me 1 second. It says, but I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto thee, even 10 tribes. Right. And who was King Solomon's son? Rehoboam. So during the time of Rehoboam and Jeroboam, that's when the split happened, right after King Solomon. And unto his son will I give one tribe, that David my servant may have what? A light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. Just bear with me 1 second. There's a precept there. Right. It says Hebrew lamp or candle. So I'm gonna read that again. Just listen up, listen good. And unto his son will I give one tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. So what happened during the time of Solomon, when he went off eventually, when his son became king, the Lord separated the nation into two nations. You had the southern kingdom, which was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. You know, then you had, come on, dude, why you really gonna park right here? Well, it's a goddamn heathen. What do you expect? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and then you also had a sprinkle of the other tribes that came around. When you check the history, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Uh, Satan just don't stop, man. Satan is a demon, and he gonna be a demon to the end. Anyways, Salaki, I'm just thinking out loud. So then you had the northern kingdom, which comprised of Ephraim and the rest of the other tribes. All right. So now let's go from there. Just keep that in mind. What happened during the time of King Solomon? There was a what? A separation, really after him, with his son Rehoboam and Jeroboam. Rehoboam was his son, Jeroboam was the Ephraimite. There was a separation of the nation. And the Lord said that the Lord will give. Hey, that spirit is heavy, man. Made that heathen move. Get the hell out of here. The Lord is something else, man. So all right, so there was a separation of the nation after King Solomon. All right. Now let's go to Ephesians. Keep in mind that it said that I will give thee a light. I will give, so that King David could always have a light or a lamp. Keep that in mind. So now let's go to Ephesians chapter 2. We're going to start at 11, read a couple of verses. Just bear with me 1 second. And if you're bored, then you can move on to a booty shaking video or something like that. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 11. Wherefore remember that you being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, this is the Apostle Paul speaking to the Israelite foreigners in Ephesus. Because once these Israelite foreigners came back, what happened? They would be converted back to being Israelites. But they couldn't keep the law fully because they were still coming out of that heathenistic mind state. So they had to, it took a process of time. But they were given a guideline from the law of what to do to get them on the right path. You see, it was a guideline. So it goes on to say that at that time you were without Yahushai, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. Why? Because you Israelites, but you were alienated from your commonwealth. You know, like like you have a husband and a wife, and they don't live together. And the wife is somewhere, and the husband is somewhere, and they call that what? An estranged wife. So that's how the Israelite foreigners became. They became strange, to the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, and to the lands, to the customs, and everything else that pertains to the nation of Israel. You know, so that's why they became Israelite foreigners. And if you don't understand that history, then you're not going to understand the New Testament. So it says, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise, because the covenants were only made to the nation of Israel. So that this proves that it's talking about the Israelites. Go back to Romans 9, go back to Jeremiah 31, go back to Hebrews 8. And these are things they don't want to deal with. They want to negate the contract. Sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract. Inside joke. Having no hope and without the Most High in the world, right? Because you were servants to these different idols. But now in Yahweh Shai, listen good, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Yahweh Shai, because now you're being brought back to the fold. You see? And that's exactly what was happening. So this is it said in who? In Yahweh Shai, by the blood of Yahweh Shai, you were brought back to the fold in so many words. So pretty much what happened during the time of King Solomon, and right after him, the Lord separated the nation. When Yahweh Shai came on the scene 2,000 years ago, the Lord brought the nation back together under Yahweh Shai. So I found it heavy that the nation was split by Yahweh Shai when he was King Solomon, and then brought back together by Yahweh Shai, who is Yahweh Shai. I mean, I don't know how that's hitting y'all, but that's how it hit me. Like, wow, that's heavy. That during the time of King Solomon, which was Yahweh Shai and the reincarnation, if you could receive it, the nation of Israel was separated. When Yahweh Shai came back on the scene and shed his blood, he brought back the reconciliation. So he made the nation to be separated, and he also made the nation to be brought back together. How heavy is that? It says, for he is our peace who had made both one. Matter of fact, before I even read this part, I'm gonna come back to this. Let's go to the scripture I was talking about. This precept here in Jeremiah. Because like I said, I was listening to the book of Jeremiah, and when I heard this part here, I didn't really want to read it first because I didn't want, I didn't want to give it away too soon. But this is Jeremiah 33 and 14. It says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that I will perform that good thing which I have promised unto the house of Israel and to the house of Judah. And what was that one good thing? To bring them back to the bond of the covenant. Beginning with who? Beginning with Yahushua. Because remember, a covenant cannot be a force unless blood is shed. That's why the first covenant was established by the blood of animals. The second covenant was established by the blood of Yahushua. So the part of the second covenant, as far as the blood is concerned, that's already done. It's already done. But the second covenant is not fulfilled yet. It won't be fulfilled until the kingdom of heaven, because we have to be changed, our spirits have to be changed, and the laws have to be inserted into our inward parts to fulfill the second covenant. So those people that say that the second covenant is fulfilled now, it's not true. The only part of the second covenant that was fulfilled was the uh um the stamp of approval, so to speak, which was the Yahushua shedding his blood. Because remember, without shedding of blood, you know, the covenant would not be of any force. All right. So it goes on to say, it says, in those days and at that time will I cause the branch. Who's the branch? Yahushua. Will I cause the branch of righteousness to grow up unto David? And that was really going into Yahushua, you know, when he was Solomon, but really when he was Yahushua. Because during the time of King Solomon, who was Yahushua, the nation became split into two. All right. During the time of Yahushua, the nation was brought back together as one. And we're at the end fulfillment of that. You know, where the Lord is causing the tabernacles of David to be built back up. And only the tabernacle of David will come back to the tabernacle of David, which the tabernacle of David are the chosen. It says, in those days shall Judah be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely. And this is the name wherewith she shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. Now, what does this remind us of? The Lord our righteousness. Let's go real quick to the book of Hebrews, the 7th chapter. And let's see, we're going to skip around a little bit. Hebrews 7. Okay, now actually, we're just going to read 1 to 3. Hebrews 7, 1 to 3. It says, for this Melchizedek. Now, what does the name Melchizedek mean? First of all, who was Melchizedek? He was a priest of the Most High. And what does Melchizedek mean? Malak Tazaddak. Malak is king, Tazaddak is righteous, or righteous king. You know? So this priest of the Lord during the time of Abraham, which is Yahushua, if you could receive it, later on, Yahushua will receive the gift of becoming or coming under the order of the priesthood of Melchizedek. That's why it said over here in Jeremiah 33 and 16, it says, in those days shall Judah be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely, and this is the name wherewith she shall be called, the Lord our righteousness, because of Yahushua, the priest of the Most High, because now he is the high priest sitting up in the heavens. All right. So going back to Hebrews 7, for this Melchizedek, king of Salem. What is Salem? Salem goes back to the Hebrew word shalom, which means peace. Peace. Priest of the Most High Power, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings, and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. Why? Because he became the mediator, the peace bringer, the reconciler, you know, of between Yahweh and Yasha'Allah. All right. It says, without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of the Most High, which abideth a priest continually. You see? So he abides a priest continually. So he is the priest right now in the heavens. And there's a whole host of points you can make dealing with that situation, from the time Yahushua was crucified to what happened to the temple, so on and so forth. And him sitting on the right hand side of the Most High right now, officiating the mediation between, you know, the Heavenly Father and us. You see? Now, let's see what else we got. Let's go from there to Psalms. Psalms 110. I mean, I hope it's making sense to to you brothers. I mean, it's a little deep, but it's really not. It's pretty basic. Psalms 110, and we're gonna read the whole chapter. It's kind of short. Psalms 110 and 1. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou on my right hand till I make thy enemies thy footstool. This is King David speaking. And Yahushua messed up, those wicked Pharisees and Sadducees, and then by asking them this question, it threw them completely off kilter. So King David's Lord, which was his son at one time, is his Lord, which is Yahushua. Because King Solomon was Yahushua. That's why Yahushua asked him, if he be his son, why does he yet call him Lord? Because what the what Yahushua was asking them was, or pretty much telling them in a roundabout way that he was King Solomon in his past life. You see? So King David called him son because he was a son, but then he called him, Yahushua. I'm sorry, Lord, because he is his Lord. If you could understand, if you could receive it. If you can't receive it, then hey, I don't know what to tell you. The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion, rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. Yeah, because he's going to rule and we're going to rule. And there's going to be slaves. The other nations are going to be slaves. They're not going to be equal in the same foothold. They're not going to have any rights. After the 1,000 years of hardcore slavery, then, the nations will get back their lands and they'll have certain status among themselves and all, but prior to that, they're going to catch hell. Not as bad as Esau, but they still going to catch hell. It says, thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, in the beauties of holiness, from the womb of the morning, thou hast the dew of thy youth. Yeah, because once Jake sees the power, then they're going to really want to get down. See, Jake that's why Yahushua call him a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. Jake has to see a sign. But then, even after they see the sign, they quickly forget. And that's how you know who the Israelites are. That don't fit nobody else but our people. So like it for a minute. So it goes on to say, the Lord hath sworn and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. And there's a reason why he was called Melchizedek, king of righteousness. And that's the reason why Yahushua became our righteousness. Because as King Solomon, he separated the nation, and as Yahushua, he brought the nation back together. How heavy is that? It says, the Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath, because he's coming back to do damage, man. I don't know what Bible these wacky-tacky Christians are reading. They're not reading the Bible. And if they are reading the Bible, they're reading it with the goggles of Renaissance Christianity. Oh, Lord. The goggles of Renaissance Christianity. Ain't that about something? Salaki for my corny joke. It says, he shall judge among the heathen. What Bible are these people reading? And they'll say the Old Testament is done away with, but the book of Psalms is still good. The book of Proverbs is still good. Well, what I'm reading here, this is the book of Psalms. It says, he shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the place with the dead bodies. You can't get around that. He shall wound the heads over many countries. So what is vocab going to say about this? Well, that's just the how the fuck did he say that? Submission theory, some shit he said, some crazy shit he said. So what is this here? When the Lord said he's gonna kill, is that the mummified, topic, or the mummified, whatever the hell the word you use? Huh? It doesn't really mean that, it means something else. This guy's a straight up fucking clown, man. It says he shall judge among the heathen, he shall fill the places with the dead bodies, he shall wound the heads over many countries. Come on, man. He shall drink of the brook in the way, therefore shall he lift up the head. Yeah, because Yahushua is coming back to take over everything. Yeah, when the scriptures say that he's King of Kings and Lord of Lords, that what he had, that's pretty much everything. He's getting everything. The only thing that's going to be exempt from him being under his authority is the Most High himself, Yahweh, which put him in that authority, which proves that him and the Most High are two separate entities. You know, like that crazy some of a gun. You know, I saw the video Pastor R did. He had to turn the video off, and I don't blame him. The guy said there's two Jesus, which he was right. There are two Jesus because you have the other Jesus, the other white meat. You have Yahushai and you have the other Jesus. But what he's saying is there's two Jesuses. There's Jesus, God, Jesus the God, and then Jesus the man on the earth. These Christians are bugged the fuck out. Their Renaissance Christianity done stir fried their mental capabilities, for lack of better words. All right, so let's see what else we got. So let's go to Romans. I'm sorry, not Romans. Let's go to Isaiah now. Isaiah, the 11th chapter. Because we read something. I'm trying to remember where we read it at. I believe it was the branch in Jeremiah 33. Let's see. Right. Jeremiah 33:15. In those days and at that time will I cause the branch, which is Yahushua of righteousness, to grow up unto David, and he shall execute judgment and righteousness in the land. That's why they call Yahushua the son of David, because he was Solomon and he came later as Yahushua. So this is Isaiah chapter 11, and I believe it's just the first verse. Yeah, verse 1. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, right? Which was King David, but really it goes all the way to Yahushua, because King David came out, then King Solomon, Rehoboam, all the way down the line to what? To Yahushua, because it says, and there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And what is that branch? Yahushua. So Yahushua is that branch, and he is the branch that came back later after he separated the nation. He came back and he brought the nation back together. That's why back in Ephesians 2 and 13 it says, but now in Yahushua, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Yahushua, for he is our peace, who hath made both one, and hath broken down the middle wall of partition between us, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances, for to make in himself of twain one new man. Right, because he took the nation and he brought them back as one. You know, did away the differences. You know, he brought peace between the Heavenly Father and Israel, and he brought peace between the tribes also, because there was a big. That's why the scriptures speak about it when the Lord raises up the tabernacles of David, that he's going to close up the breaches, meaning he's going to do away with all those differences that the tribes have with each other. It says, and that he might reconcile both unto the Most High in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby. Right. So as Yahushua, as King Solomon, separated the nation, and when he came as himself, Yahushua, he brought the nation back together. Now I wrote down a little something here, right? I put Adam sinned. Melchizedek was a priest of the Most High. And these are all Yahushua in the reincarnation. So Adam sinned. Melchizedek is a priest of the Most High. Isaac was going to be slain. And when he was about to be slain, he said, he asked his father, where is the lamb? You see, and the lamb was not slain. It was a ram that was slain. All right. Solomon separated Israel. Yahushua brought Israel back together. And those are, you know, the 5 reincarnations of Yahushua. You know, and the reconciliation is the bringing back together, the bringing back into the good graces of the Most High. Because you cannot be reconciled to something that you were never a part of. You know, and that's what these wacky tacky Christians fail to realize. When you read the covenants, when you read the contract does not have any stipulations in there that um that add, for lack of better words, add the other nations as a part of this. They are not a part of this. They were never given a part of this. They have their salvation in this kingdom. Why in the hell would you get salvation, you know, when you're already in your salvation? These nations are of the world. They have everything. They have nations. They have governments. They have, militaries. Why would they need, a salvation? There. Some of them nations are oppressing people. Our nation is the one that's being oppressed. You know. So I found that to be heavy. I don't know how that hit you, brothers, but when I first heard it, I was like, wow, that's heavy. That through King Solomon, the nation was divided, but through Yahweh Shai, the nation was brought back together. Which they're the same people. In the reincarnation, if you could receive it. So with that, I pray that you brothers and your futures have been edified. Till the next time I say shalom.